Innovation doesn't happen in isolation. At Circuit, we believe the future is built by builders. That's why we're spotlighting exceptional builders everywhere. Those building on complementary ecosystems and advancing Web3 for everyone. Whether you're building on Circuit, building alongside us, or building something entirely new, this is your community. Welcome to Builders Showcase. Let's build the future together. Yeah, I guess Daniel, can you give a brief introduction about yourself and what you're building with Lemonmarkets?
Okay. Um, my name is Enoch Daniel, and I am a software developer. I love building software, and I am working on Lemon Markets, and I've been working on Lemon Markets for about close to a month now. And Lemon Markets is a permissionless PvP pep desk that allows anyone to trade any kind of money market out there. So if you wanted to trade stocks, you wanted to trade maybe BTC or a new meme coin that just launched, or whatever kind of money market out there, whatever token you want to trade, Lemon Market gives you the ability to be able to place leverage positions like an actual pep desk. So that's what Lemon Market actually does.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for that high level overview. And I guess like what inspired you to build Lemonmarkets specifically? Like what was that the key direction that you decided that we need a perp dex specifically for this peer to peer approach?
What inspired it was that before then I was looking for a way to actually build an actual pep desk. So, but I discovered that there was a whole lot of complexity that came with building your regular pep decks, the amount of money it costs, the liquidity, and so many other things. And I was like, oh, I don't think I want to go that route. And apart from that, I just wanted to be able to short and long meme coins that I had convictions for. So sometimes I'm going through deck screener and I'm seeing certain tokens I love, and I really just want to short them or long them. But I can't do any of that because of the current pep decks out there actually don't allow me to be able to do that. So what I now did was that, okay, what if I could come up with something that would basically allow me to be able to do that whenever I wanted to do that. So that's why I came up with the idea of Lemon Markets and the PvP pep decks.
Awesome, awesome. That's good. Great to hear that inspired you. You know, through your own personal experiences, longing and shorting meme coins. You know, you wanted to provide something that everyone can use. It are just I guess in terms of a visual guideline or representation. Do you have a demo for us today?
Oh yes, I have. I can share demo. Let me share my screen.
Awesome.
I don't know if you guys can see my screen.
Uh, yes, we can see it, or at least I can.
Oh, okay. So this is a Lemon Market. So you could these tokens that are here have not been listed on any Pepdex actually. So and you could like trade them right from here. So as you can see, my wallet is already connected to the Sepola network. So I could just click on any of these markets. Let's just say I wanted to trade this guy. So this is my this is it. So I could check the price from the charts, then decide to go long or go short. So whatever I decide, I will just basically I can increase my leverage. Currently, we are capped at a 2x leverage. So, but you could just select the leverage. As time goes on, we're going to actually increase the amount of leverage that will be available. So, um, put in the amount of USDC I want to use as my margin. Then I click on confirm. Then sorry, please. This. Um, Let me connect my wallet again. Okay. So sorry for that. Okay, then I just place this, then automatically transaction confirming, and my trade has been placed. Then wait for some time for the yeah. So my trade has been placed. So oh, there's a bug here. So but currently this automatically places this on chain, and it begins to read the current price as based on the current price of this market. So as you can see, this was my previous trade that I placed on this market. So I was actually down some amounts, about $1 or that. So then I could go to the positions page and see all my positions that I've opened. Then I could also go to the leaderboard and check out how well the people that have been trading and how much they've been trading. Then we also implemented a bridge. So for those that are not on the chain, so you could easily bridge your money from whatever chain you are on to this current chain. So then we're currently working on a staking model that allows you to be able to stake your tokens and earn from the platform. So for staking your tokens, you would actually earn fees from the platform and get to decide what actually happens on the platform. So currently, this is where we are at Lemonmarkets. We are trying to improve the model. So we are trying to add stocks to it. We are trying to add the GDP of countries. So you could long and short the sorry. So you could long and short the GDP of countries. You could long and short whatever token, whatever market that has a price and has a price oracle, you could actually long and short it on Lemon Market. And that's what we are aiming to do, and that's what we're actually looking at.
Awesome. Thank you for that overview. And I guess you mentioned that it's a peer to peer in nature. So I guess the question is, whenever I'm longing or shorting meme coins, where does the liquidity come from? Like who is the like counterparty? Like does liquidity need to be seeded for every single meme coin market that basically gets created, or is there like a secondary one that you would provide that users can essentially use for the leverage essentially?
Okay. Okay. So what we did on the platform was that if I was to place a long position, if there wasn't a counterparty, or if there's no counterparty to place a short position, or if we as the protocol did not seed that market with some kind of liquidity, it is impossible for you to actually get any profit payout. So which means that there's a need for a counterparty to actually place a short position or an opposition side-based trade, so that the losers will always pay the winners. So in no situation where you would eventually not be making money even when someone has taken a position. So you would always make money once someone places an opposite trade. So that's the way it works. So, and if there's no one to place an opposite trade, you actually get a refund of your actual money back. So, but initially, to incentivize people to begin to trade, we as the protocol, we are thinking of incentivizing certain markets. So, for instance, now ETH would be incentivized. Different tokens out there will be incentivized so that traders can actually see that, oh, there's liquidity in this market, and let us actually trade this market because we know we can earn from it. Then there are certain markets that might probably never get any liquidity from the protocol because of how volatile those markets are, and how and they have so much tendency for market manipulations. And because of that, we decided that those sets of markets might eventually not be seeded with any funds if the players or if the traders decide they want to trade on that market. They'll be at the risk of the other players. So that's the way the system actually works.
Gotcha, gotcha. So anything that's higher risk would essentially be up to the users to provide essentially the speculative like longing or shorting. So you need to have essentially like the secondary market for maybe like the lower the pairs where, or sorry, not pairs, but the asset that doesn't is not that prominent. So you'll have like a sponsored set for things like ETH, but outside of that, it is up to the user to essentially create these different markets and basically long or short within that. If there's no one to fulfill the order, at least you would get the money back, and in that way,
Exactly.
there's limited risk outside of the what you're putting for the long or the short that you're doing.
Exactly.
Cool,
Exactly.
cool. That's awesome to hear that you're taking like these different types of like lower liquidity, taking advantage of meme coins. They might not, they might be more volatile, but at the same time, people might still want to do things like leverage trade on them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess like you use the concept of virtual liquidity. Um, I guess, can you explain what virtual liquidity is in this type of context?
Okay. So the way the market works is that we have a central reserve. We have a central reserve that holds all the protocol funds, some kind of a treasury. So that treasury doesn't send any fund to each of those markets, but rather it allocates what we call a virtual liquidity. So no market actually holds any liquidity in its own. It just holds a virtual liquidity. So the main treasury or the insurance fund is the one that actually pays out profits. So if you win, it's the insurance funds that actually pays you. So there is no need for us to actually have a fragmented liquidity in different markets. So there's a central liquidity, and each market has its own virtual liquidity that is being allocated to it. So that's the way we did that.
Awesome. And this is like when you have this type of, I would say, like single pool that would pay out for all other, let's say, assets. Like did you do it for gas advantages, like, or protocol simplicity? Like what is the design choice behind the concept of virtual liquidity?
The design choice was actually for speed because I was trying to ship out something as fast as I could, and I didn't want to delay myself with having to have so many contracts to actually monitor. So I have to set up a large subgraph node for each of those mini contracts, and I didn't want to go through all the steps. So I decided that, okay, let me just put all the logic for the initial MVP on a single contract and just allocate some kind of a virtual liquidity to each party. So that way, I don't have to manage so many contracts. So if there's something wrong with a certain market, I could just open up or write a simple script to simply correct whatever is wrong with that market than having to actually manage a whole lot of child smart contracts. So that was the design choice, was for speed. It wasn't like as if I intentionally wanted to design it that way. I just wanted to build the MVP as fast as possible because I felt like, oh, that's people need to actually start using this. I have friends that wanted to long and short tokens, and they were like, oh, they would really love to use it. I was like, oh, what if I could get the MVP ready to you in like a day or two, or in few days? They're like, okay, no problem. If you can do that, that would be nice. So I decided to just like rush it up. So that was like the first design choice in my head.
Cool. Yeah. No. I think that directly directly focusing on the MVP is and then getting something to work. I think that's also very important when people see how it works, when people use it, they come back to it, they give you feedback,
Exactly.
you improve it continuously. So I guess like on that point, would how do you see the future looking like? So you have this virtual liquidity. Do you see like isolated markets in the future with different like rather than them sharing one pool, that it's like isolated for each individual market?
Currently, I'm actually looking at separating the architecture into different markets. So each market has their own contract, but there are still some protocol logic I'm still trying to settle before I move to that. I want to make sure that this model currently works properly. So I'm still trying to get some users' feedback on the way they actually feel about the product, but I'm certain that the contract would actually evolve into where we're going to have each market, where it's going to involve where each market would actually have their own contract. In fact, I even started working on that, but I took a pause on it so I could really get the underlying protocol logic so that I do not have to build so much complex logic when things could be much more simpler.
Cool, awesome. I like again that direction where you're building things out, getting the feedback, and then eventually taking a look at different different structures that might be better for maybe there's like an efficiency perspective, but having something out the door I think is better than the the theoretical potential as well. I guess let's run through like a couple scenarios where I'm sort of thinking in that might affect the performance or like the user experience behind lemon markets and how people interact with it. So let's say I'm a dev that created a
Yeah.
meme coin, um, and then I'm like I have a lot of the supply. I created a market on lemon markets like for the token, but then like I put a massive short position right before I rug pull. Like, wouldn't would that essentially give me guaranteed profits on what the token that I deployed? Is there like a case where this can maybe be the impact of this can be minimized, or is this more of like you let the market decide how this scenario plays out? Like don't you gotta look at the bubble charts and see
True.
how much the dev controls before you put your savings into it. So what are your thoughts behind like that type of scenario?
The we the team are actually working on two models. So the first model that we currently assume is the fact that users would be responsible and users would act rationally. But from what we know as human beings many of the times will never act rationally, even when we ought to act rationally. So I personally feel like leaving it up to the user is something that we really, really want to keep open, because if we decide to want to say put in some kind of a mechanism, the protocol will become much more like the regular pep decks out there like Hyperliquid or whatever, because once we introduce having to want to protect users all the time, it will become so much hard because there's over 1,000 tokens probably launched every day. How many of them do we want to manage as the project? So there's only a little amount of tokens that we could manage as the project. So one of the things that we aim to do on the project is to make sure that whenever a user wants to place a trade, we make sure the user agrees to a disclaimer that whatever you want to do on this token or whatever place trade you want to place, know that we are not anyway in partnership with the token, and you could eventually lose all your funds and the market could be manipulated. So that the users know upfront that this market could probably be unsafe and it is left for them to do their research. So that there's because one of the flaws that we found in the current model was the fact that users could manipulate the model to actually game the system, and because of market manipulation. So in the current contracts, we found the bug of where users could actually manipulate the market price to drain the liquidity of the protocol. So one of the things we now began to think of, okay, in order to avoid that, what are the things that we can actually do? So we are currently working on a new model that actually solves that issue where users can't just manipulate the market to drain the liquidity of the protocol. So we started thinking of things around, we were already working on things actually that actually solve that issue. And we also consider the fact that users would also want to trade any kind of token that they also want to trade. So we put those things into consideration and said, okay, for that, we are going to add some restrictions to profit payouts. So one of the things that we started doing was to add penalties. So if your payout was going to be more than a certain amount or was going to drain the pool significantly, you are going to pay a penalty fee. So the penalty fee charges you a certain amount of your profits, a large chunk of your profits. So if you thought that, that you'll be able to place a short trade and probably drive the price or to a certain price that will actually pay you, when you think of the fact that you probably lose you also want to manipulate the market yourself. And even though I don't advise it, you don't know what you don't know how much the other person has to manipulate the market. So it's best to just keep yourself safe. Hello, can you hear
Oh,
me?
I can hear you now. You were
Yeah,
cutting
yeah.
in and out for a little bit, at least for me. It could be my
Oh,
connection, but like I got the gist. There, you have two different models. One of which is security. So like being open to essentially anybody deploying any type of market, and then the user being shown a disclaimer saying that this market may be manipulated, and then up to the user to essentially determine. And then you made that comparison behind other perp dexes that already exist, and then having like let's say more of that, like the blue chip assets being present there,
yeah, exactly.
would make it much more difficult to differentiate, but also much more difficult to manage every single tokens that are coming out. As you said, like there's thousands that are being launched, and as a result, more involvement within that would mean more time that gets spent to essentially evaluate the different types of launches. And as a result,
Exactly.
some meme coins are recognized because they shoot up in value, and then they retain
Yeah,
value over a period of time. I think like there's basically every meme coin that is up in the top like 200 is is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Awesome. No, it's good to see the direction that you're driving towards. A balance between like user safety. Like as long as people understand the risks that they're entering in when they enter this type of market, I personally think that that is sufficient as long as people are aware that meme coins are higher risk, and I think like most people in crypto and even not in crypto can understand that that meme coins might not be like the place to put your savings into in case of those manipulation. And same thing with
Yeah,
like poly market and all of that. Like you
exactly.
you rely on like let's say markets to resolve, and then they might not. There's potential for them to be wrong. We saw that
Exactly.
with anything like that. And I guess with that, actually, interestingly enough, what like when you decide like the price for meme coins, like are you looking at different Oracle providers for that? Like if so, which ones seem good for that specific use case? Like do they have to be? Does the meme coin have to be supported by an Oracle? Are you using like a TWAP Oracle, like a time weighted average price, like that basically pulls from a Uniswap v3 type system? Like what are you relying on to base the liquidation point for people?
Okay. So currently, um, about this, it's like a very like deep, deep question, and like there's a lot of research that I actually did, because I discovered that even I initially wanted to use Swap for the whole protocol and connect it to Uniswap v3. I discovered that Swap in itself could be manipulated. So then I had to do a lot of research. Then I came up um with can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So I actually came up with some different ways to actually work around it. I needed to use like four different algorithms to actually aggregate the price. So each algorithm could actually filter out the manipulations and stuff. But when I began to look better, I just decided to keep that on one end and just use basic APIs for now. So what I did was that I aggregated several APIs. So probably APIs for maybe Alchemy, Deck Screener. Then I'm using the off-chain spot aggregator by 1inch. So this already aggregates different dexes together. So create an off-chain oracle in a smart contract. So so that's the way it works. So it simply aggregates different dexes together, then brings in the price together, then tells me the price directly from the blockchain. So even I tried using some APIs like Alchemy and normal APIs, but I discovered that they were kind of slow. There was some kind of latency that many of them had, which sometimes could cause the user order to enter at a different price from when they actually place the order. So what I did was that I totally stopped using Alchemy's API. I just focused on using the 1inch API. Then I set up an aggregator on my end also, but it's an off-chain aggregator. For Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You
Okay.
said that it was a off-chain aggregator for the 1inch API, like the 1inch Oracle, essentially.
Yeah. So I said that I was making use of. I'm currently making use of the 1 inch aggregator API. It's actually off chain. It's a smart contract deployed on chain, but it has an off chain price calculation model. So it simply calculates the price from various dexes for you. So that's the current model I'm actually using to get real time prices. So instead of having to use an actual API like Alchemy or Moralis, which may have some kind of latency, and also it is not scalable to different blockchains. So if I needed to deploy on a new blockchain, I can't. I would have to contact the Alchemy team or whatever blockchain and ask them for an API. So I decided to use the 1 inch. So 1 inch is direct. I would also have to just create my own adapters for each DEX I want to integrate. Then plug in each of those adapters into the aggregator. Then I can get the real-time prices for each of those markets on chain. So that's the current model I'm actually using. And why I did not use Chainlink or any or Dia or any popular Oracle or Pyth was because of the fact that many of them had a limited amount of markets. So if I was to use Chainlink doesn't have the latest token that launched on Pump today. Chainlink doesn't have the token that launched last week, and Chainlink doesn't even have some tokens that even launched 2 or 3 weeks ago, or even tokens that launched 6 months ago. I don't even think Chainlink even has the Trump the Trump token. I doubt it. I'm not sure. So if you actually look at it, there would be some kind of a limit in what I can do if I'm to cap myself at using the Chainlink Oracle. So I decided not to use the Chainlink Oracle or any large oracles out there and just stick to APIs. So then because I didn't want to also stick to normal APIs because of latency, so I just basically chose the 1 inch aggregator API that makes things faster to iterate and deploy to new blockchains as fast as possible.
That's cool. I like the thought process that went into choosing an oracle to resolve these different markets. And I like how you compared different types of solutions and essentially taking a different types of like experimenting with like, hey, can I use like the Alchemy API? No, it's too slow. So I need to take a combination of things like or use an Oracle aggregator like 1 inch to or sorry, use a aggregator for different types of dexes like 1 inch to basically base it off of that. So I like the thought process that went into it, and then you also said that yeah, it's true. Chainlink only supports like basically the blue chip different types of assets, which in your case, since you're offering a wider market for many different types of assets, so many different types of meme coins, it actually is very difficult to use these the different like big Oracle providers because they don't have a lot of tokens that they support. So very very good to mention that like thought process, design decisions that you went through, and I guess like with that like one more question about the like when you're coming in and creating these markets, there's like a little bit of maybe like an onboarding stage. I guess, do you see a scenario where people that are using Lemonmarkets are coming there? Let's say they're only coming there to short meme coins. I don't know. Like you've seen the recent like crash on October 10th.
Yeah.
Right now, it's people have like a bearish sentiment on the market, and so as a result, people might come in and take that bearish sentiment and create a lot of short positions for these tokens. So what happens in a scenario if a lot more people are shorting tokens than they are longing them? Like, and if so, what are some ways that you might resolve that? It's not something that you can say like overnight, like, oh no, we'll just introduce this solution. So it might be more open ended, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Like there's no right answer in this case. So
Yeah, yeah. For that, because it is a PvP model, which means that even if they short the position, doesn't mean they make any money. So a counterparty needs to actually place a counter trade for the short positions to actually be profitable. So which means that if everybody just keeps on shorting all the meme coins, they're probably just wasting their time, or they have to just keep on waiting for someone to actually take a counter position. So if they want to, they can, but I would not advise it if only if they be I could be very wicked and say, oh, we the protocol will actually make money from you actually opening a position. Then everybody should just keep on opening positions because we make money and we really don't care. But I really not advise it only if the pool is well incentivized. Then another thing is that the current model that is for the MVP doesn't have what we call a funding rate and opposition incentivization. So which means that no one is incentivized to even take a counter position. So in the new model that will be releasing quite soon, in the next few days, we are looking at incentivizing users to take opposite positions. So if the market is weighed towards the long, we incentivize users to take more short positions. And if the market is weighed towards the short, we incentivize users to take more long positions. So that's incentivized, just making sure that users are incentivized to take counter positions, then also coming together with the funding rates. So these two models we put in place to make sure that users just want to actually take a counter position all the time. So even if everybody decides to want to short the market, if I would make a quick 8%, or I would make some quick bucks on taking a short position or taking a long position because everyone is taking a short position, I would actually be willing to actually test it out. And once I make my profit, I actually get out of the market. So I think those are the models that we're actually looking at to put in place to make sure that even if at all people decide to want to keep on shorting the market, there will always be someone out there or somebody out there that will be happy and willing and incentivized to want to actually take counter positions.
cool. Yeah, and I like that you mentioned that there's room for incentives. Room for as you say, like funding rates and things like that in the future. I envision a future where I can have a delta neutral position on meme coins. That
Yeah,
that
yeah,
seems
that would be really
very.
nice.
It seems interesting. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see a future where like a stonks portfolio. But that's cool. I love the again, like the direction and then the thought process to like what if those scenarios happen. And it's good to hear that you have a direction in place if those scenarios come in. And I guess like talking about protocol fee revenue, how does Lemonmarkets make money? Like let's say I make $1,000 shorting like a meme coin. How where does the fees come from? Like is there fees when I open a position? Is there fees when I close a position? What are you envisioning these different types of where the money goes in that case?
Okay. So currently we have, if I'm correct, we have about four fees model. So the first model is each time you open a position, you actually pay about 0.02%. Yeah, you pay about 0.02% on any trade you open. So Then when you close a trade in profits, you pay 2% of the trade. So you pay 2% of the trade. Then we also charge a borrow fee. So the longer your position stays open, then you also pay some kind of duration fee. I think that should be also around 0.2% also. Then you also pay leverage fee also. So the leverage fee is also about 0.01% also. So per each leverage you actually pay 0.01%. So we're also looking at that. Then on liquidations also. So if your position gets liquidated, the protocol also ends from that also. Then on this in the situation where we talked about the penalty fees for those that manipulate the markets, so part of the penalty fees actually comes to the protocol, while the remaining actually goes into the pool where other users can actually bet against.
Cool. I like this. Various different types of ways, and that you have like the like a way for people to come in and essentially like if they win, then you basically take like a larger fee based on the earning of the profitability, which in this case is like still leaves a person feeling that they won, and then having like a significantly lower portion of the fee when you're actually like using it when you're creating these different positions, and of course a fee to incentivize people to actually close their position at the end of the day, which I think like all of these very very intentional ways that the protocol can be sustainable over the long term. So really really good to see that being a way of like how do you make money. So really cool. Yeah, I guess a few more questions, like two more questions.
Okay, no problem.
What like when you're looking at deploying to different chains, different protocols, like why specifically Zirkit? Why are you looking to deploy to the Zirkit ecosystem in terms of like, let's say like in the L2 space or different different, like what considerations are you making when choosing to deploy to different networks?
Um, to be honest, I'm looking at creating the largest perp decks in the world, and I don't want users to be limited by a chain. So I want everyone on Zecute to be able to come to the platform and trade any token from Solana, from Base, from Ethereum, without having to bridge to any chain. So I want to give users the best experience of a pep dex. I want people to come to a pep dex and be able to trade any token, trade any markets, and don't leave your chain. You don't have to always bridge. Why do we have to always leave the chain we love to another chain for profit? If we can always be on the chain we love and enjoy whatever that chain has to offer. So I feel like as if there's just so much fragmentation out there. People having to live on chain. For every new blockchain that comes out, there's one old blockchain suffering the liquidity drain. So I feel like that's like really really not helping the ecosystem as a whole. So why not just we allow people to be able to stay on their chain and do what they want to do from their chain. So and I feel like as if it would be really nice if people that love to use Zecute could actually have a place where they could actually trade where they could trade perpetually whatever token that actually exists on Zecute and even any other chain without having to leave their chain. So you could wake up early in the morning without thinking of bridging, just open up lemon markets and short as much market as you want to short or long as much market as you want to long. And you don't have to think of bridging, where we even have bridging arcs. So your funds might even not be totally safe on the bridge. So why not just allow the users enjoy from where they are and not having to leave their chain. So that's just like my focus. So I want to create a pep text that exists on all chains. So everyone is free to trade from the chain that they are on and not having to leave and just enjoy your chain experience. So yeah.
That's cool. I like that, because you are looking at the multi-chain vision where it doesn't really like you want lemon markets to essentially be part of all ecosystems, or like all ecosystems that would ideally, all markets that would bring in more revenue for lemon markets, and eventually that vision can go across for all ecosystems, whether it be potentially, if you're looking at EVM ecosystems right now, maybe non-EVM ecosystems in the future. But it's cool. It's really good to see that the user experience is your priority. Doesn't matter which chain that you're on, you'd be able to access various different types of markets all within the platform without having to rely on bridging. So that's really cool that you're focused on that form of user experience, and I completely agree. Why limit the functionality to being on a specific to being on one ecosystem when you can essentially be present, and you can do long or short assets on any ecosystem, and then Circuit has a good community, which I think would appreciate being able to have the opportunity to do these types of longs and shorts on assets that may be potentially outside of the Circuit ecosystem, or even within the Circuit ecosystem as well. So that's cool, really cool to see. And I guess a final question for you. What advice would you give to future builders? People here are listening in, people that might be curious to explore and to take new and innovative ideas and implement them. Like, what advice would you give to them to on their journey to being builders in the Web3 space?
I am not a kind of person that actually loves to give advice because people are different and different things work for different people. But I would just say just keep trying, keep innovating, try different things. I was telling someone today that this pep decks, Lemon Market was like the fourth or fifth iteration of a pep decks I wanted to build. I've literally tried to build different kinds of pep decks from scratch. I tried building the GMX model, the Hyperliquid model, the model that relies on the AAVE markets. I tried different models out there, read on it, worked on it for weeks, then discovered that it wasn't scalable for meme coins, and I dropped it. So basically, I would just say don't stop. If you just keep iterating, keep iterating. If you figured out something, don't stop. It doesn't work, doesn't mean you should give up. It means there's something you actually don't know. So you just have to just keep on trying and trying and trying, keep on reading, keep on doing the research. Currently, AI is my best friend. Any problem I have, I take it to AI, ask more questions. I go on Twitter, I search the whole of Twitter looking for people that have done something like this before. How did they do it? Previous solution. I read a lot of white papers. If I didn't understand the white paper, I give it to the AI, let the AI explain it to me. So I just feel like if people don't just give up and just keep on trying and iterating, trying and iterating, trying and iterating, don't double down on your failures. If your failures doesn't work, learn from it and just keep on iterating, keep on iterating, keep on iterating. And I'll summarize everything in do not make a mistake twice. So make sure the first time you make it, you learn from it, so you do not make the mistake the second time. So that way you make sure you are always keep on growing. So that's just my advice for any builder out there that actually wants to build. Just keep on iterating and enjoy. Have fun. It's fun. It's not work. It's just fun. We're having fun building stuff that we love, things that people would use. So yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for providing that wisdom. I love the enthusiasm that you have for building, and then especially this is your fourth iteration for building a perp deck. So good on you for continuing to iterate, learn from the mistakes, and then building something better. So I think you will get to that point where Lemonmarkets will be successful across many different ecosystems. And yeah, I'm definitely counting on it being more well known than Hyperliquid is today. So really cool
Yeah.
to have you on. And sorry, is it Enoch Daniel? Just
Yeah,
wanted.
it's enough, Daniel.
Awesome, awesome. And I guess any any last comments, final thoughts that you want to give to the audience or to people listening here? I'll check the chats to see if there's any questions. So I don't see any questions. So after this we can we can wrap
Um,
up.
Yeah, I just basically want people to actually just try out Lemon Market, and I want to receive a lot of feedback. Is it bad? Is it good? Is it nice? What could we improve on? Do you want to join the team? We're actually very few on the team. People feel like as if they want to join the team and bring some kind of value that to the team that we currently don't have. Are we currently happy because it's not easy building at the same time and having to do a lot of administrative duties of having to reach out to investors and stuff like that. It's kind of a lot of work on my head. So and having to also always having to do founder-led marketing at the same time. And I just want people to just try out Lemon Markets, join us on our journey to being the biggest pep decks in the blockchain space. And yeah, that's all. Just yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Enoch Daniel, for hopping in and giving your experience and talking more about what Lemonmarkets is. I certainly learned a lot. I think others did as well. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. And yeah, I guess
problem.
we'll see you in the chats.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks everyone.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.
GM.